Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's VC Task Force Gary's Picks for Event for Investors and Startups. My name is Joel Rosenberg, Director of Business Development and Strategy for VC Task Force. VC Task Force is an organization where the venture community comes together to address critical issues, provide workshops and other events for the benefit of the venture and entrepreneurial communities. VC Task Force provides access to an extensive ecosystem of VCs, corporate VCs, and angel investors. You may ask questions anytime during the event, and time permitting, they will be answered live after today's interview. It is my pleasure to welcome Gary's Picks host, Gary Fowler. Gary is CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, an award-winning growth stage AI venture studio. Gary is also co-founder of the award-winning AI startup Eva.ai, as well as the investment firm DY Investments. Today, Gary will be interviewing special guest Arthur Veytsman, CEO at Immerss. Immerss is a revolutionizing retail commerce, connecting brands and customers seamlessly. Their B2B SaaS platform offers shoppable video calls, dynamic chat engagements, and live streaming events, all aimed at delivering an in-store experience online. Arthur has founded 6 companies over a 25-year span. Take it away, Gary.
Great to be here. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Jim. Great to be here. So yeah, we're looking forward to this today. You know, as Joel said, I'm a serial entrepreneur focused on a lot of artificial intelligence worldwide. Today, we have 139 companies from 57 countries. My company is GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios. So with that, I'd like to, Arthur, I have a question for you. Now, you got a robust background, but how did you get to Tashkent?
I was born in Tashkent, actually. Thanks to my parents is how I got there.
What made you decide to go from Tashkent, right? So you left Tashkent and to move over to the US. And how did you go down through? Because you became a senior analyst for Ernst & Young. Was that in Tashkent or was that in the US?
No, that was in the US. I came to US at the age of 18, didn't speak any English, so it took me about a year and a half to find my way around. And then I took a 6 months becoming developer, 6 months school, so really quick school, and got really lucky. It happened to be that the skill I learned at the tech school was a skill EY was looking for a specific project. Got lucky, got enrolled. I was the youngest hire they've ever had. I was not even drinking age yet. So people were making fun of me, but survived for 5 years, traveled the country, learned a lot about technology and how to make business using tech. So that's really been my forte since.
So you were a senior analyst there. You were doing coding and database architecture, process improvement. So you went over to VHA. What is VHA?
At the time, Voluntary Hospitals of America was brought in as a consultant first, was with them for about 2.5 years. It was a membership organization for hospitals.
So as you went down through this, you moved from Tashkent over. Was there a lot of culture shock?
A little bit. Yeah, you grew up in socialism where everything runs as a DMV. Although DMV has gotten a little bit better post-pandemic. Yeah, picture you go to the post office or you go to TMV, that's really the entire country. And coming into the world of capitalism was like a kid in Candyland. It was amazing.
I remember myself going over to Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus back in 1992 after the wall came down, and going in and Hungary because I needed something to eat and I couldn't really find the kind of things. Only place was McDonald's. Rarely McDonald's had food. But I was going around at Arbat Irish House in Moscow. But I went around and I had never seen lines like that. They have bread lines and milk lines and all this. And I'm like, and I went in to get a piece of bread and the only piece left was one that was like a brick. And I thought, first it was a dark bread, which is hard anyhow, but this one was like, must have been there for 2 weeks because this one you're going to hit somebody with. This hard, build a house with it. But it's incredible. And so, but you transitioned over, you learned English, you went to Mayflower Medical. What made you to go down through from VHA to Mayflower? What was that all about?
Actually, Mayflower was first business. I my brother and I joined forces, and this was we saw an opportunity to service doctors. Doctors are notorious about being really good at what they do and really big, pretty terrible in business, a lot of them anyway. So we saw an opportunity and built a medical management practice. We had 3 locations, and that was my first kind of business journey.
And then what happened with that? Did you sell it or is it still in existence?
No, it was sold. It was sold. Yeah.
That's
So
then you did Dallas Memory.
Dallas
Inter-
Memory was my first experience with e-commerce. This was late 90s, and I saw an opportunity to sell online, where majority of this was done in stores. We were selling memory and CPU. This is back in the days when PCs were built from scratch. You would buy a case and motherboard and video card and build a PC that to your spec, and we were selling memory and CPU. And that was also an interesting journey. Built the company, sold it about 4 years into it.
No, that's great. So you got out of it, and then you went over to Limo Anywhere. Now, how in the world do you go from doing memory to doing limos?
Also, there's something in between. There's a company called, it used to be, now it's called Move, MUV, which is still an active company. It was formed in 2001. I was approached, I had an exit, I was approached with few people to start a transportation company. And this was, we saw an opportunity to build a company that has a technology as a backbone, and kind of being servicing the mid-market. There were a handful of companies that were on the market, like Carrier Limousine and Boston Coach and Devel, that would be very large conglomerates, and the rest of the world was very mom-pop shop without much of infrastructure. So we saw an opportunity to get in the middle tier, and that's what we did. We started the company 5 days before 9/11. Very unfortunate for us, but it was the whole corporate travel was frozen. But we said, if we could figure out how to survive the next 6 months, then we'll probably build something good. The company is still active. It's called Move now, and it's what we call a cash cow at this point.
Now, you still own Move?
I do.
That's great. And where is it located?
It's in Dallas.
No, that's super. And then
Yeah.
you went over and you did what is it, Cadium? Was that next?
Well, Limo Anywhere was really next. Limo Anywhere came out of need for, so I was in the transportation business operationally, and I again was approached by my cousin, actually, who studied
Wait
the
a minute,
market.
you got your brother, you got your cousin. This seems like a family affair.
I know. I've done a lot of family business. People
Yeah.
say don't do business with family. I've had all kinds of great luck. So yeah, my cousin approached me, and he was doing like an ad hoc solution for small limo operators, saying, this is, he came to me, he said, this is untapped market. There's only one company that's doing SaaS as a solution, software as a service in the limo industry. And he said, I can do better. So I joined him, put some money in the venture, brought in my business knowledge, and we built a platform called Limo Anywhere from scratch. It was an amazing story, Gary. It was a $15,000 investment that turned into $7.5 million sales 7 years later.
Well, you can't beat that. That's a great story to tell.
Yeah.
That's great. And so you went from that, you went over to Cadium.
Cadium was a sub-product of a company that was created out of a Move project. So Move was a progressing at the time, and we needed to build a new version of the platform. We brought in a consultant who became a friend, who became a partner to form Cadium with. So again, one thing flows out of the other. So we built the company from a project we started for Move technology project, and then formed a separate company, and again built it and sold it.
And so you did that, and then you move over to Vistage, which you still have.
Vistage is a membership that I'm very keen being part of.
You're remembering that. Okay, got it.
Yeah. It's an organization like EO, like YPO. It's a international organization for CEOs that, we get together once a month and hash out problems and share some best practices and listen to great speakers.
You like it?
I love it. I love it. It's one way a month I get out of my business, everyday business mode, and hear what others have to say and learn from them and contribute where I can and learn from speakers. And it's a great way to really step outside of the box and create variety in your.
And how do you get to be a member of Vistage?
I was recruited, and so Vistage is a franchise system. So usually most cities have some multiple chapters. A chapter is usually about 15 companies. There's a chair that recruits for the chapter, and they get a piece of the action. You pay monthly fees; they get cut on it. But it's an international system
they
with
get
great speakers.
Is it kind of like Amway kind of thing? Is it like network marketing kind of deal, or?
No, not at all. These are people that exited from businesses and now usually retirement age, and they don't want to sit at home. They would recruit people like me, CEOs of different companies, usually non-competing companies, into a chapter. And then they organize everything, they lead the conversations, they make sure that we show up and we're active contributors.
No, that's great. And what's the idea? Is to invest in companies, or what's the idea?
No, think of it as what do most companies go through? You have human resources management, you have accounting and money management, you have operational stuff, you have all the stuff that kind of touches every business is what speakers come in. We have AI speaker coming in, we had corporate culture speaker coming in. So it really varies quite a bit. We do once a year, we do an event where we get out of town as a group. So that's usually fun. Going to Nashville next month. So that's gonna be.
That's great. So you all go down and you have your event down there, and do you do business with people within the group at all, or not?
Amazingly, yes. So people we do host. Each person gets to host once a year, and when you host, you do a presentation for your business, and usually that leads to some kind of business, or I can use this, or I can refer you to somebody. I've had some really good luck with that.
That's great. And so, how did you come up with Immerss? Where did that come from?
Immerss was. Again, I was approached as an investor first. The original concept behind Immerss, and this was over 5 years ago, was to build a marketplace for people to conduct their businesses online. And these are content creators, not in the form of like content being something they do, like yoga instructor, a chef, a fitness instructor, a tutor, etc. Usually those people are bound to their 5-mile radius to gather that clientele. The idea was to build a marketplace where they can go Zoom-like experience, where they can sign up a class in the group, and the people would pay per class or per chair instead of spending. So it's a group environment. You can learn from each other. It's cheaper. Economics are good. So it was a great concept, but execution did not happen. And couple of factors. The person I invested in was just new to business and did not have enough knowledge to get it going, and second, timing was working against this. It was just the market was not ready technically, because it was highly dependent on technologies that were not there yet. So we just beat our head against the wall for 3 years, and at that point, I took over the company and figured out what we've built and how we can repurpose that, and looked at the market. And at that time, influencer marketing was on the rise. And I thought, if they can do a really good job with pictures like on Instagram, what could they do with video? So that was our initial thought of repurposing our software towards shoppable video. So shoppable video is like QVC on, democratized QVC.
Mm-hmm.
Every brand can produce their own content from their own website, stream it, make it shoppable, make it interactive with chat, etc. stream it in parallel to social channels like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. And then bring the traffic from the social back to your website where you have full control of the experience. And the experience is great because you can watch the show, click on the product, buy the product.
What do you mean, like watch a show? So tell us what the scenario would look like. So somebody watches a show and sees an Omega watch in the corner. So they could actually buy the Omega watch right from the show? Do they go out to the video, or how would it be presented?
It's all, think of QVC just like that, right? So the show is happening, the product is there, you click on the product, you look at the product in details while the product is being demonstrated on the camera, and you put it in the bag, and it's fully integrated with your ERP and the e-commerce side. So it's all native. One thing we do really, really well is we integrate with the back end. So everything becomes very seamless, very white label experience. It looks very native, colors of the brand. It's embedded into their own web page. And it becomes very native to the site and their customers.
So you've gone through a lot, Arthur. What would you say if you look at the greatest challenges you've had? You've built a lot of different companies. What are the greatest challenges you've had? That's a common thing that you've had over, huh?
Fundraising.
Fundraising. Tell us about that. What do you mean? Why is that? Tell us what the deal is with fundraising.
So
there's a lot of my audience to go down through, some have raised money, some haven't, but what are some tricks, the hacks?
I'm still learning, Gary, to be honest. But what I've learned so far is that, well, my journey, my business journey have always been self-funded, meaning that it was good because I didn't have to share equity, but it was bad because I didn't learn early on the tricks and kind of what the game is like. What I've learned is that you have to always put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, always. You have to learn the tricks, like, you have to be strong to the point where a buyer, i.e. investor, can look at you, say, this guy or this girl can jump through hoops and make things happen, because nothing ever in business goes as it's written on the paper, ever. So you have to have thick skin, you have to be versatile, you have to listen, you have to know how to listen, really important. But you also, a lot of times, have to stay your ground, because out of 100 people you're going to talk to, only 3 probably going to hear you for whatever reason. And the 97, they're not going to hear you just because they have a busy schedule and something else happening, or fidget mind, or whatever that is. You cannot take that personal, and you just have to move on. And it's a lot of times like in sales, it's a numbers game. You have to have enough to choose from.
I got it. And so that's one of them. And you said fundraising. What else? What other kind of challenges do you have as building a company? What, with all the companies you built at, starting early, right? In your early 20s. So what kind of challenges, what other challenges were out there?
I don't know if it's a challenge or an opportunity. It's ever learning. You always learn. So you have to be open to that, and you have to enjoy it. And it's as I'm 53, and the older I get, and the more I understand that I know very, very little. And you have to be humble about it, and you have to be continuously learning in life. Challenges, Gary, I think, I don't know if it's challenging again. I love working with people, and I love seeing people progress in life. And it almost doesn't matter what you do for business, as long as that business does something good for the society in whatever ways possible. That brings joy to me and to everybody who is working with me. Because think about it, we spend majority of our time working, right? The time we're not sleeping, we're working, good portion of it. So if it doesn't bring you pleasure, then you're wasting your life,
Sometimes
really.
you get more quality time with your coworkers than your spouse, right? You're so because
Right.
when you're dead and you know you might want to
Yeah.
watch or go take a walk or something like that. But you're right about it. This does take a lot of time. But so if you looked at so you've overcome a lot of objectives, right? And obstacles. But as you're going down through and coming from Tashkent over, I'm sure not speaking English, that was a real struggle in the beginning, trying to figure out, you know, you couldn't say you couldn't express yourselves the right way. But once you started crossing the chasm, Arthur, and you started being able to, did you speak Russian or did you speak Uzbek?
Russian.
And so when you went down there and you were speaking Russian and came over to the US, I mean, how long did it take you to be able to speak English?
It's a gradual thing. Probably, you know, I learned a little bit of English in school, so I knew how to read, which helped me a lot. Just because I was able to read, I was able to start digesting. Plus, I was young. I was 18. So the younger you are, the easier it is. Probably within a year.
You were 18 when you came over here.
Yeah,
And how was that? You started working right away, right? I mean, virtually.
I had to. Yeah, yeah. So it was a family of four. My brother's 4 years older. My parents were in their early 50s. So we all had to work to sustain.
How was that at 18 years old? I mean, what kind of, so I didn't see any job there. I saw the one I saw.
Yeah, I mean,
first one
yeah, I went through 8 jobs in year and a half. My first job was to roll shopping carts in at like a Walmart. It was no Walmart Supercenter yet, but it was like a store like that in Texas. And I was not qualified to take the cart out from the store to the car because that's where the tips were. I was not qualified to do that. I was only qualified to roll the carts back. So that was my
Really?
first job.
That's
It was 4.25 an hour minimum wage, or a little bit better than minimum wage. It was 3.35 minimum wage at the time. My brother was working at minimum wage. So when we got a job to drive at night, my brother was driving. I was blowing with a blower, cleaning shopping centers, making 7.25 an hour, working nights. That was an amazing jump in the salary. So I went through 8 jobs in a year and a half before I went to school.
well, that
And
probably drove you to go to school, right?
yeah, I was constantly looking at how to improve, because the reason I changed 8 jobs is because I was always like looking for what's next. You know, the better the English was getting, the better of a job I could have gotten, and just I was moving constantly.
When you went down through that, I mean, and you started going up, and there were other people that didn't, right? They were still doing the shopping carts. They must have looked at you. How does this guy just come into the US and get all the move around so quickly and change his life, right? You move very quickly doing it.
You know, when I got here, I looked at, like, you know, with a guy with eyes of 18-year-old, right? So and I was studying capitalism in school, as a, you know, this is in a socialist country, right? We had to study capitalism in the first year of college, and I enjoyed it, but it was being taught as a bad thing, and I was looking at this and I was arguing with my professor. It's like, why is owning the car bad if this is a means of transportation and gets you quicker from quicker from point A to point B? Why is this a bad thing? Oh, because it's a luxury. I'm like, not necessarily. So anyway, so I've learned about capitalism a little bit before I got here, and then when I got here, I looked around. It was like, what can you do here as an immigrant? There's like every business has, you know, everything you look, there's a shit is just taken care of. It works, and how can you get yourself into it? So being in consulting or getting into consulting was really an eye-opening for me to really understand how much there is out there to fix and how much to improve. And every business has this ability, or, you know, ability to improve itself, and that therefore it creates a lot of jobs around it and a lot of opportunities around it. You know, you can be competitive. You can get into it. When we got into transportation industry, it was over 300 companies in Dallas that were doing the same thing. So what? We've just gotten better. So it's always this, you know, a drive to do better, to be better, and to kind of conquer the market based on the product and service you provide.
So you went down through and did it. And, I'm sure there were other Americans that were there that weren't making those moves and weren't really upgrading their lives, but you were forced and determined to do it. So how important do you think the drive and determination is to being successful as an entrepreneur?
It's everything. It really is, because you can conquer. I mean, I started with negative, right? I didn't speak English. So yeah, you can get, this is why this country is so beautiful, still is. No matter what's happening here, it's still the best country.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we're coming up to the top of the show. So closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn, very approachable. Send me a message, and I always respond. My information is always there. You can find me through the website, immers.live. It's spelled differently, IMMERSS. So Immerss is really my baby right now. So trying to get it off the ground. Any kind of circulation, endorsement, introductions are always welcome and appreciated. This is a new technology, and this is a new way of doing business online, and we're conquering the uphill right now because we have to educate our clients on what live commerce is all about. So any kind of help is greatly appreciated.
So if you had one thing you could say to the entrepreneurs that are listening to the show from all over the world, what would you tell them? What would be one grain, the most important thing for you that helps you succeed and to build companies?
You believe in what you do not give up early.
Believe in what you're doing. Don't give up early. Now that's great. Thanks for taking your time out of busy schedule, Arthur. Thanks to June and Joel, the entire VC Task Force team for hosting Gary's Picks. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. I will be back in another 2 weeks with another exciting edition. Remember, stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. Back to you again soon. Joel?
Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you both, Arthur and Gary, for another excellent Gary's Picks event. Very sage advice, very relevant for our audience, and really appreciate it. So look forward to seeing everybody back here in 2 weeks for the next edition of Gary's Picks. Take care now.
Take care. Bye-bye.